Marco, I know like John Petitucci would come, but was there a lot of music happening that you could be a part of or go see while you were growing up that helped you be a part of the music as
Yeah,
well?
yeah, definitely. I mean, I cut my teeth, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I gained a lot of experience, just like playing, local bars and pubs. I would have a band, where we would like mix up jazz standards, with funk, that kind of thing, So it was definitely an important part of my musical upbringing and musical education. Because I mean, we all know that we all went to school, Berkeley, Eastman, MSM, and what have you, and it was definitely helpful. We know that, but we also know that a lot of our education comes directly from like being on the bandstand, with other,
Yep.
Good musicians and peers, and that's basically where you learn most of your like real life stuff. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the way it was for me for sure. Yeah.
And I also would like to ask you about, I mean, you studied with Carol Kay, so how did that happen?
Yeah, well, it happened. We met in 2000 at the NAMM show. So, we're just, jammed with her, played a couple of tunes with her, and we stayed in touch. And then I found out about the Henry Mancini Institute, which you probably heard. I mean, did you go there, Katie?
No,
Uh,
I don't think it was
yeah,
around when I was coming up.
yeah, 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 cool. Yeah, so the Henry Mancini Institute was basically this like summer program that would happen at UCLA. So basically, they would put an orchestra together by audition. It was like kind of a pops orchestra kind of concept, like a core, classical thing to it, but there was also a rhythm section. So for the bass player, it was like an amazing thing, because we would take turns playing the double bass in the section, behind the cellos.
Hmm.
And then each one of us, would spend a week, as a rhythm section player, either playing upright or electric bass, like kind of in the middle of the
Hmm.
orchestra, right out front. So it was an amazing experience, and Carol was the electric bass teacher there, and we also had Bert Turetsky.
Hmm.
So it was, I basically did it three times in 2000, 2001, and 2005. So it was an amazing networking experience, and I learned a ton, from Carol and Bert. And then we had a lot of great visiting teachers that we could have private lessons with. So we had Nathan East, then we had your mentor, John Clayton. I took a couple lessons with him, and he taught me more in those two lessons, that I've learned, in my whole life. It was pretty amazing. A lot of the stuff that he told me really resonates with me, to this day, and I use it, when I do my own teaching. I mean, you probably know all about that. And yeah, that's how this thing came together. And so I spent, like 3 summers in LA. I really loved it there. I thought about moving there for the longest time, but I guess it hasn't happened, maybe at some point.
Yeah, there's
But
still
I
time.
just, you guys have the best weather in the country, and there's no denying about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, that's so cool that you got to study with Carol Kay. I mean, what a historic person, what a historic bass player.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, she's taught me a lot, her whole conception about, like playing quarterly as opposed to like, relying on scales is definitely something that
Mm.
stuck with me. And, she was always very sweet. We developed, this like, um, as I mentioned to Danny before, she was like sort of like a surrogate American mother to me. Like, when I would get sick, she would like call me up and say, "Hey, have you taken your aspirin?" That kind of
Oh,
thing. And we also both love cats. So we both have cats. So it was nice to have this relationship develop. Beyond just like the musical thing. But it was like a real mentorship in terms of like really caring for each other.
it's
And
cool when you meet people
yeah, yeah,
too way later on in their career, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, she started a long time ago. So to meet someone at that stage and to have a relationship at that point is really special.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. She, definitely learned a lot.
Yeah. Both of you are into teaching and education. I mean, Danny, how do you have like 1,000 books out by now?
10,000.
Okay, 10,000. Yeah. No, but really, you have like five at least, right?
Yeah, five. So four base books, and one co-written book on teaching. Few coloring books, but those
Oh
aren't
yeah,
published yet.
you should do paint by numbers with different bases and things.
Okay, definitely, the history of Fender P bases and paint by numbers. Be
Yeah.
great.
So what is it that brought you both to, want to teach and want to share?
I think I didn't really know that I had a choice about being a teacher or not. I think I was always surrounded by um, good examples of teaching in my life. Maybe not always with music, but I think as I got into studying the bass, um, I think I was just kind of, I don't want to say I was destined, but I was always kind of encouraged to look into teaching. Um, and it was funny. I never really considered a career in performing. I always just like thought it was in service of teaching. Obviously, when I got older, it's like, oh, I love playing and I love teaching. Um, so I think I was fortunate to have good examples of teachers around me. And then when I went to college, it's like, okay, I'll get an education degree and performance. Um, and I loved it. Like teaching is great because it allows me to connect with people one on one, which I really value. I mean, I got a degree in public school education, and I did teach elementary school orchestra for a little bit, high
Good on you.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I even had to substitute for a high school health class, and let me tell you, if there's something that's like your own version of hell, that was it for me. It's like no way would I ever want to do that again. Um, it was not worth the substitute paycheck for that day. But yeah, I very quickly figured out that like I like working with people one on one. I like taking the fellow traveler approach, and kind of standing against that hierarchical teaching that can happen, where it's like I am the teacher and you must respect me because I am your teacher. It's like don't enjoy that very much at all. So yeah, and then with the books, I had students who, when I was teaching at SUNY Oswego, it's a college kind of north of Syracuse, I had students who needed books for different topics, like how do I walk bass lines, how do I do this and that, and it's just like I'll just make one up on my own. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just write a book. Like,
Hmm.
as quickly as the thought entered my mind, it was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And then a year later, I was like, I'm never doing this again, because I had no idea what it entailed. And then caught the bug. Marco was gracious enough to write the foreword to my second book, which was awesome. That's another thing that brought us closer because we were able to, talk about teaching and have this awesome connection. And then yeah, it just kept on kind of snowballing from there. And I think it's great because the writing part really gives me an opportunity to clarify exactly how I teach something, which really does help me when I'm working in person.
Hmm.
It's just this kind of curiosity too about the learning process, and now that I'm seeing, a lot of my students are adults, I really feel like the most of the educational materials or the research out there about how people learn, especially in music, is geared towards kids. I feel like adults, there's less in service of their learning needs. So like I'm really curious about like how can I help people who are like 60 and want to play jazz gigs? Like what can I do for them? Like how can
Yeah, it's
we
an interesting point. Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of like this curiosity that kind of feeds everything. Um, but yeah, and Marco, like I know you're teaching at the new school, or you were teaching in the new school, but you're taking on a lot of private
Yeah,
students
they
and
send me students, from time to time. I'm like on the roster of adjunct, based teachers, that the students can choose from. So, from time to time, I get students, and it's really nice, because I can teach, from the comfort of my own home, and then I submit all the gradings and stuff, via email, so I don't even have to go there in person, which is amazing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what made you want to teach, Marco?
Well, for me, it's all about the. Um, I mean, now that I guess I'm older. Like I'm 48 now. So um, I guess for me, it's all about mostly about the concept of just like passing it on. But passing it forward. I've had so many mentors, that have been really gracious with their time and with their advice. So I feel it's only uh, fair for me to do the same and help out younger bass players started playing after me, and kind of giving back all the amazing pieces of information that I've been given by all the great teachers that I've studied with. So yeah, it's really, for me, the name of the game is really like passing it forward. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, because time, you can't get time back. Like, you can make money, you can give money, but like the time, even if someone's, paying you for lessons, it's invaluable to somebody. And I know Ray Brown would always tell John Clayton, someone gave this information to me, I'm giving it to you. So you have to give it. It's
Yeah,
up to
exactly.
you to give it
Yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's a definitely a privilege, that kind of I guess it just comes with it. You've been fortunate to get it, and then you have to give it back. It's just part of how life works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I see 10 electric basses, I think, in the background. This is like an I Spy. And I know you guys are both such talented bass players. And I know you, Marco, play a lot of wide varieties of music. So, and I'm guessing that's why there's 10 basses.
I,
Do you have a problem?
yeah, no, that's only part of the collection. There's like about 12 more like in the bedroom. Yeah, yeah. I have a problem. I'm a bass hoarder. Yeah, I
Okay.
I admit it. I definitely have to consult with a doctor about that. It's a huge problem, and also I really I really suffer from gas. Which is gear acquisition syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
In case you're not familiar with it. But yeah, I mean, the deal with me is that I started out as an electric bass player, then I started playing the upright. And the deal, with the straight ahead jazz scene is that band leaders demand the upright bass. I mean, they really don't want any electric, in their bands. I don't know if it's more of a sound thing or a visual thing. I mean, I do get it that when you're playing a walking line, I mean, of course, it's gonna sound fatter and nicer on the upright bass, but for me, it's like really impossible to kind of choose one instrument over the other because I just love them equally. And that's why, as much as jazz, will always be my first love, I kind of got a little frustrated about the fact that if I stuck, with straight ahead jazz 100%, then I would have had to give up, my electric playing altogether, because there's very few band leaders that are open to the idea of having a bass player that doubles, in their
Mm-hmm.
bands. So that's why I started kind of branching out. I've been doing a lot of subbing on Broadway lately because the nice thing about Broadway is that most of the shows are doubling shows. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to basically go back and forth between upright and electric bass. And so originally I did it because I was like, okay, at least, this venture is going to give me the opportunity to keep my chops up on both instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem, that I was having, was like just playing straight ahead was that sometimes, 2 or 3 months would go by without me touching the electric bass. And, but now, I think I definitely managed to balance both, playing both instruments out, which for me means a lot, because I really love both.
Yeah, with anything, there can be a stigma, right? They're like, oh, you can't be a straight ahead bass player if you play electric, or vice versa. And it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
not true. I mean, you mentioned John Patitucci and people like Derek Hodge. That it's you're the instrument, right?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
are the
exactly.
instrument. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter
yeah, yeah.
what you play.
But yeah, most band leaders are smart enough to understand that it's about the player, not the acts.
Yeah.
Like it's really what you bring. And so whenever people like they give me a hard time, if I tell them that I want to play electric on their gig, I'm like, hey, look, it's the same bass player that you're hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still me. It's still me. If you
Yeah.
like what I do on the upright, don't worry. It will still be me.
Yeah.
It's
But
not like I turned into this like other, musician, altogether.
I just imagine you showing up with like 20 electric basses though, and
Right.
switching like every tune just to mess with somebody.
Yeah, no, probably not. I wouldn't do that. It's generally, if it's a doubling thing, I just like, pick one.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
No, that's great. I won't take up too much more of your time, but I'd love to know. Well, I can't. This is going to air during your performance, so I can't wait to see it. What's going to happen? But what's up next for both of you? I know things are, they were COVID, and then things are getting better, and now we're not really sure what's happening now. But is anything on the horizon for either of you? New projects or anything?
Well, I don't know how much I can say about this officially, but I will say indirectly, or I'll try to speak around it. I was offered a job at a university in Austria somewhere teaching jazz ear training, and solfege and ensembles and stuff, um, at a school with a great reputation and some international faculty. So still in the process of formalizing that, but that's going to be starting in October, which I'm very excited
Oh,
about.
congratulations.
Thank you. It involves a 2 hour train ride through the mountains to an unnamed city, but anyone who knows about Austrian geography will be able to piece it together.
It's
Um,
like you're going to the Batcave.
yeah, exactly. I've left space camp and I am now going to the Batcave. So I'm doing that, and otherwise just enjoying, after vacation, just enjoying reacclimation back to Austria, and just looking forward to playing again. I mean, now that it's possible, now that the more people are vaccinated and we're following precautions, like I just can't wait to get my butt in a club and play more, and hopefully start doing more touring. Um, so yeah, that's basically it. But how about you, Marco?
Yeah, well, luckily things, are getting started, for me again, like I've been doing a bunch of remote recordings, as we all have, like, during the pandemic. Then a couple, 2, 3 times a month, Mike Stern invites me over to jam at his place, which is something that I always treasure, because he's just amazing, we just spend 2, 3 hours, just like playing tunes, having some coffee, and then going back to playing,
Oh,
that
that's the
kind of thing.
best.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, definitely learning a lot from this experience, and also in April, this record was released by Dan Wilson. He's a great guitar player, and it was come to be known, for his associations with Monte Alexander and Joe DiFrancesco and Christian McBride. And he's actually a member of Christian McBride's trio called Tip City, that features him and Emmett Cohen on piano. And so basically, Christian, he started his new independent label called Brother Mister, and it's affiliated with Mac Avenue. And so he offered Dan, a recording contract. And so we recorded this album. It was me, Dan, Jeff Tane Watts, and Christian Sands. We recorded like about 2 years ago, and it finally was released in April. So now we've been doing a bunch of touring here and there to promote this recording, and it's definitely an honor. Like I really look up to Christian. Is my idol. One of my very favorite bass players that I've learned a ton from. So it's definitely an honor, to have him around and kind of gravitate, in his new label business. So I definitely look forward to more touring dates, with Dan, and hopefully, we'll make it out to California.
Oh
So
yeah, we would love
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, that would be nice.
I have a question about Mike Stern, just
Yeah,
quickly.
sure.
What kind of coffee does he drink? What's his favorite coffee?
They, him and Lenny, they're serious about it. They have like a $1,500 espresso machine, so that'll mess around. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. And Lenny, is Mike's wife. She makes a killer cappuccino. So I always look forward to it. Every single time.
Well, listen, this was so much fun to catch up with you all. Again, I'm really excited to hear the music, and I'm excited to see you all in person someday, hopefully
Yeah,
soon. And yeah, this was great. Thank you so much for taking the time.
of
Our pleasure.
course.
Thanks. Thank you for having us on your podcast. And also, I'd like to, before we say goodbye, I mean, I'd like to thank, Barry Kolstein, personally, because,
Of course. Yeah.
he got us on board, with this. And also last year, when we weren't working, he kept us working, by inviting us, at the shop, to do live concerts there. So,
Yeah,
Barry,
Barry's.
if you're
Yeah.
watching this, we're really thankful to you and Manny and everyone else at the shop, for really taking care of us and making it happen, in very lean times. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly impressed with them, and I can't wait to go back to New York because I want to check out their new shop in Columbus Circle. Have you been there yet?
Yeah, not yet, but he invited me to go last Friday, but I was on doing those dates with Dan Wilson, you know. But for me, it's like a less than a 15-minute walk.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to going.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, thank you both so much. Um, always, wishing you all good health and good base. And I'll see you hopefully soon.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
All right.
Looking
Bye.
forward to it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Katie.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.